I want to take a look at a small episode within the Wanderings. In the 12th year of the Pandava's exile, we get this curious little passage with some very familiar references, and references also that will have increasing significance as we move through the text. We get this short episode. We are told the long exile entered its 12th year, the last in the wilderness. It was the time of the monsoon, when scorching sun gives way to bank upon bank of dense black thunderclouds, rumbling, clashing, disgorging rain in torrents to drench the grateful earth. All living beings feel themselves newborn, and leap, run, fly more vigorously according to their natures. Delighting in the freshness of the earth, the Pandavas rejoice to see the lakes full to the brim with clear, sparkling water and fringed with brightly colored water plants. It sounds like a fairly conventional rainy season. But it's curious that we're starting out with that. Now, sure, it is conventional storytelling that sometimes you just start with, when you have a break from one chapter to another, let's say, you come back and you go wide angle, let's say. Now let's talk about, the setting, and the sun rose over a beautiful a beautiful day, and all of this, and you talk about weather as a kind of reestablishing shot, if you will, a wide shot to reorient the viewer, or in this case the reader, and move them progressively into a new section, let's say. They understand that something is different now, something is happening. But there is other stuff going on in there. Why the weather? Well, weather is nature. We're focusing on nature, and the connection to human nature is made fairly explicit within that, and not just human nature, but all beings' nature. All living beings feel themselves newborn and leap, run, fly more vigorously according to their natures. So this point is being made and pointed out very specifically, that this tumultuous moment in nature, this tumultuous episode of weather, is connected, let's say, to the living beings on Earth, to humanity, to animal nature, plant life, birds. All of that is tied together, and the idea that it is all naturally cyclical as well. This time comes. The rainy season comes as a season, something that recurs. All of these ideas are being introduced here. The time of the monsoon suggests that it's just when these things happen. Hurricane season is an example of that. We're in summertime, we're in hurricane season theoretically, and the connection of all of that to time, to the calendar, to the it just happens again and again, is being slowly introduced there. But then we get back to the plot, to the story of these figures who are experiencing this exile. We're told that they meet up with the Pandavas meet up with Krishna, and together they meet a holy man. They come up against a holy man who then essentially gives them a little lecture. Or a lesson, they ask for it, about the nature of the universe, the nature of existence itself. And this ascetic holy man then goes and discusses karma and reincarnation and the cyclical nature of time, the recurrence of events, the recurrence of seasons. He also then tells a story that looks vaguely familiar. The story of a holy man named Manu who saves a fish, and then the fish rewards him with a warning that a flood is coming. That sounds kind of familiar to certain other literary and spiritual traditions. We're told the holy man, in telling a story which is presented in prose, we are told, "My lord, I am constantly terrified by being eaten by a bigger fish. For that is the way of things in this world since time immemorial. Please protect me. I promise that I will reward you." So this fish calls on the essentially the sympathy of a human being, of Manu. Manu was filled with compassion. He scooped up the little fish and placed it in a jar of water where he looked after it as though it were his own child. So this sense of compassion is drawn out, and he is doing a good deed. We can see that he is being kind to another living creature. There is that promise of reward, but the overriding implication is that Manu is a good person and he is doing this out of kindness. And the fish survives successive threats to its existence by the kindness of Manu coming and helping him. And then we're told, "My lord," said the fish, "you have cared for me and I am grateful to you. Here is some good advice. Soon the world will be overwhelmed by a mighty flood, and everything that stands will be destroyed. You should build a sturdy and capacious boat and attach a strong rope to its prow. Then you must collect the seeds of all the different species in the world and take them aboard the boat together with the 7 wisest rishis." Rishis are wise men. And this is obviously all very familiar to anybody who reads some of the early chapters of Genesis, specifically the Noah story. Noah is warned that humanity is now corrupt, and God plans to flood the earth and start from scratch, essentially. But Noah is commanded to bring on pairs of animals and all of the elements to repopulate the world after God wipes out all of the bad people. Now, unlike the Noah story, there really isn't an explicit purpose of punishment expressed here. In the tale itself here, the cataclysm of the flood is the result of no particular moral outrage. This isn't God coming and saying, "People are bad, I'm going to kill them." But the holy man, his name is Markandeya, goes on to explain, in turn, the cyclical 4 ages of man, which are, the Krita age, where humans live harmoniously among the gods. We can think in the biblical Judeo-Christian tradition of Adam and Eve living in Eden with God. That is followed by the Treta age, where humans grow divisive and the gods abandon them. So that is sort of the pre-lapsarian age. Divisive, they start to fight among themselves. Well, that's Cain and Abel, the sons of Adam and Eve. And then the Dvapara age, where the scales of good and evil among humanity tip, and they finally reach that tipping point towards evil, And then the Kali age, which is marked by just irredeemable spiritual and social corruption. And then, presumably, nature starts anew. All of this comes full circle, but at the end of that circle, you start the circle again. And there you get a cataclysm, like the flood perhaps, that trips it off anew. We get a new cycle, and this is an eternal recurrence of these ages, of these events. And so we get life, a vision of existence that is universal recurrence, that is always happening simultaneously. Everybody is always dying. Everybody is always being reborn. Remember how in the beginning we are told that everybody in that rainy season, the monsoon season, felt reborn. This is a spiritual rebirth as much as a physical rebirth. And so you can see it as representational. Markandeya casts all of this as the product of divine design, which he communicates through another short parable of a child stumbled upon who reveals himself to be an unknowable manifestation of the divine, of the gods. This child says then, I am Narayana, replied the child, creator and destroyer of all creatures. I am Vishnu, Shiva, Yama, and all gods. I am the placer. I am the sacrifice. To sustain the earth, I manifest at different times as different incarnations. I take on human form to combat evil, but no one knows me. Understand, Brahmin, that every human quality and impulse, anger, lust, fear, joy, confusion, as well as duty, truthfulness, compassion, is an aspect of me. Human beings act not from free will, but influenced by me. I alone control the wheel of time. At the end of each cycle of ages, I am all-destroying time itself. Then we get back to Markandeya telling the story, which again is another layer of the storytelling mechanism here. Remember the frame tales that we've talked about, Vyasa and Vaishampura, and all of these people telling stories. Here we have another character telling a story with characters in it. I remember these great revelations in all their vividness, said Markandeya. Know that your beloved friend and cousin is none other than Narayana. You should place your absolute trust in him. The Pandavas made obeisance to Krishna, who acknowledged them affectionately. So you've got this enormous story, this enormous vision of a universal divine realm beyond the conceptual abilities of any human being. No human being can absorb all of that vision of creation, all of that vision of existence. The fundamental theology of Hinduism is within this. But it also casts, and this is key here, divine authority in a cosmic, universal frame beyond the comprehension of ordinary mortals. That's significant. And it specifies, moreover, it specifies the existence of divine authority within certain human beings as well. So, this all-powerful, all-knowing God, this all-knowing realm of multiple gods, is too much for any human being to really understand. But let's face it, it sounds pretty overwhelming. It sounds pretty cool. It sounds pretty deserving of worship. And then we're told as well that human beings, certain human beings, share a portion of that, are the representative of that on earth. Again, the connection with the Judeo-Christian tradition is fairly obvious here, or at least in parallel. Not necessarily the same, but in parallel. The idea that there is an enormous, unknowable God that is beyond your understanding, so don't even try. But also here on earth, there are specific people who are part of that. And so we should respect them and honor them as that portion of divinity. And that last line, the Pandavas made obeisance, basically bowed down to Krishna, who acknowledged them affectionately. So you see a royal order being laid out here. There is divine power in the universe, and then there are a few select human beings on earth who represent that divine power. And to them, we all owe obedience and worship. That's the rub. That's the key. So it's a view of divine order, spiritual order in the universe, but within that it is also a view of political order, sociological order, one based on rigidly structured social organization, like a caste system. The power of this is pervasive. And, well, you can... this is a vast simplification of a very subtle and rich theological history, theological portrait. But I think the effects of this are fairly easy to grasp. You don't have to be an expert in the particularly idiosyncratic conception of the Godhead in order to understand that, well, this is a very effective way. Whatever its spiritual dimensions, it is also a very effective way to control people, to get them to worship you, to get them to obey you. It is an engine of social dominance.